Hello guys and welcome to my new video. And 9.1 changes have been announced. There's been patch notes, there's been specific legendaries for Covenant, there's been new Covenant soulbinds, there's been new nodes, even a feature that everyone has been using in Mythic Plus to determine how good you are. That's also coming into World of Warcraft, and that's not that very much known. So we're going to be talking about healer related changes mainly, and honestly, if you're a priest you want to stay for this one because there's big ones. And after that, we're going to look at all the other cool features that are coming back in 9.1. Disclaimer, this is very, very early. Anything can change. And honestly, we're talking about class changes right now. But maybe 2 months down the line is going to be very, very different. So let's go and have a look at the spec related or class related, mainly healer changes. So first of all, this is 9.1 PTO changes. There isn't as much as I thought there was going to be. First of all, there is, like, for example, I didn't have Mistweaver changes. Mistweaver got some giga changes happening. But that's for PvP. So we're talking about PvE mainly here. And again, there's been some meta class nerfs and things like that. You see balance druids, mages, discipline priests, and this is the big one. This is the biggest change in terms of healers. Arguably the whole patch here. Spiritual talent cooldown is now increased to 90 seconds, was 60 seconds. This is huge. Now spiritual is something that has been the go-to talent for raiding discipline priests, because if you look at discipline priest usage for talents, you can see here all spiritual. You can see in terms of rankings for priests in Warcraft logs, you can see that majority of people are going to be using Spiritual. Spiritual is great in Castle Nacha. It's a 1 minute cooldown. It fits in Castle Nacha damage pattern so well. To a point that if you get enough innervades, you're going to be just like insanely good absorptions. And you can see the amount of buffs that people are getting. You need innervades as a discipline priest in order to run this Spiritual build. So what's happening right now, they're going to increase the cooldown significantly. First of all, this means that if the damage patterns in the new raid are not going to align, and they're probably, like, again, Castle Nacha was 1 minute damage pattern. In the new raid, you don't know what's going to happen. If it's going to be 1.5 minutes, all good. But the fact is, this change is going to bring evangelism back. This is a big nerf. On top of that, you have to remember, Spiritual was nerfed quite a few times before we got to 9.1, or before we're going to get to 9.1. Its throughput was nerfed. Now its cooldown is being increased significantly. A lot of discipline priests right now at this given point are talking doom and gloom, or at least they're talking evangelism. And I know a lot of discipline priests at this given points are really happy to go to evangelism because they didn't like Spiritual. Leave your comments below. Did you enjoy Spiritual, or do you enjoy Spiritual playstyle in raids where you have this giga absorb every 1 minute where you keybind everything into one ability? Or do you want to go back to evangelism? Let me know, guys, because this is the biggest healer change that I've seen so far that's gonna shake up the meta. I also feel people should be very careful about this whole negative approach towards discipline priest right now. Okay, Spatial might not be the main talent to go to. It might be somewhat niche. If it fits into the damage patterns, it might be interesting. We'll have to see. Again, very early days. Does that mean that the evangelism discipline priest is gonna be brought into raids? Is it gonna be as good? It doesn't have as big of absorptions. What's happening to discipline priest? It was an absorb healer. Spiritual was the thing that made Discipline Priest, at least early days in Shadowlands. When was the last time that you can remember when Discipline Priest was not good in Mythic raiding, on high-end raiding, or was not part of the healing team in basically any kind of hardcore competitive raiding scene? Discipline has been very competitive for a very long time, so I'm sure that these changes are, again, Spiritual might not be the same as it used to be. Evangelism might be coming back. Are there going to be more changes in the future to help out Discipline Priests? We'll have to see. So I know a lot of people are memeing about the whole thing that Discipline Priest or Discipline Priest community is just basically a place where Holy Paladin rerollers stay before they go to Holy Paladin. But it's very early days, and I honestly feel this is a personal opinion. I think it's a positive approach because I wasn't a huge fan of Spiritual, and I think balancing something like that, like a Spiritual with a huge absorption, is always going to be a nightmare in the healing community or your healing group. Let me know, guys. This is a big one. And then we move on to Holy Priest. And Holy Priest is getting some kind of utility changes here in terms of Symbol of Hope. Now it's been redesigned. Bolsters the morale of party or raid members within 40 yards. They each recover 60 seconds of a cooldown. And I was really excited there. I was like, what? You're getting Night Fae abilities as Holy as a default. 60 seconds of a cooldown on a major defensive ability, which is still okay. And they regain 12% of their missing mana over 5 seconds. So this is something, and I feel Blizzard is going towards the route of utility. They see Holy Priest as being a supportive healer. With the recent change to Divine Hymn, where they get like a huge boost to an overall healing across the board, and that doesn't involve just the Holy Priest. when they cast Divine Hymn. And now they have Symbol of Hope, not only giving mana, but also reducing the cooldown of defensive abilities. Now, I don't know how this is going to work, and I need to check this on PTR. So if I'm a Druid who uses Barrack Skin, does that mean if a person uses Symbol of Hope, I get my Barrack Skin again? Which could be really cool. I feel in random or poke situations, this is pretty useless because most of the pokes don't even use defensives or so. What's a cooldown reduction on ability that never goes on cooldown? But in an organized group, I see where Blizzard is going with this. They're trying to make Holy be this kind of support type of healer. And if you're not sure what Symbol of Hope does, before it used to bolster the morale of all healers in a party raid within 40 yards, restoring 2% of the missing mana immediately and every 1 second for 5 seconds. It's a 5-minute cooldown, so you're not going to get a lot of uses, mostly 1 per fight. And maybe in an organized group this is going to be really interesting, but I don't think this is this is not going to make Holy Priest the best raid healer or the healer with the biggest utility, but I think it's an indication of things to come. Maybe Holy is going to get even more utility abilities and it's going to fall into the support role, which maybe Blizzard thinks what Holy should be doing right now. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Outside of other changes, you saw Warlock changes. Again, this is basically all of the healers right now. I do have to mention that, again, there were changes to Mistweaver in terms of PvP content, and I don't talk about this too much, but Wowhead has kind of uncovered it. There were, again, I'm not sure if this is true, but it seems that to the Focus Tea right now, again, this could not be right because I'm doing this on the day. To the Focus Tea now, it has an additional effect for Crackling Jade Lightning, knockback applied immediately, and Essence Fawn, movement speed increased by a certain percentage. These seem to be like a lot of PvP or utility related abilities, and they're not going to change anything for Mistweaver at this given point because most of the changes are for PvP. So that's something that I was really kind of annoyed about, and I'm waiting for more Mistweaver changes. Let me know. No Mistweaver changes, big changes to Discipline Priest, some changes to Holy Priest in terms of utility, and maybe of something to look forward to. Now I want to cover something else before we're going to move to the next section. That is going to be something big in my honest opinion that not a lot of people have talked about. Blizzard is adding Mythic plus score to their game. How many people are aware of Resto.io? So Resto.io is basically a third-party application that gives you a score based on how quickly or if you time a key or how high the key you did. And this score has been the #1 reason to determine how good a player is. And this score, this is the Resto.io website. They made this post. And they're basically saying that Blizzard will be implementing a core Resto.io feature, Mythic plus scores. We don't know anything about this in terms of how it's going to work. They kind of mentioned that the scores are going to work in similar way to Resto.io. The WoW development team has been in contact with us with the new Mythic plus scoring. And they expressed that they have designed theirs in a very similar way to how Resto.io Mythic plus score is going to work. So there is going to be an in-game score that's going to determine your value. And I know this is going to split the community in half in terms of the comments and things like that, because I know quite a few people hate Resto.io. I know quite a few people know that it's the necessary evil. My personal opinion, I know that Resto.io can exclude you from keys. I know that Resto.io can feel really bad, but I genuinely feel it's a good system because if it didn't exist, there would be something else replacing it. Like Gear Score. I don't know how many people remember Gear Score, but that was a bad system. Resto.io is not a bad system. It might seem like it's evil and it's gonna prevent you from getting invited to groups, but at the same time, if this didn't exist, people would find other ways. People need a quick way to determine a player's ability without having to go through like 20 pages of logs. So this is why I feel that Blizzard has implemented it. So now there's going to be some sort of in-game system. Now the most important thing in here in my eyes is that, are they just gonna copy Resto.io? Are we gonna have different scores for different affixes? Like for example, I genuinely feel that there should be a different Mythic plus score for Tyrannical and basically Fortified. I think those are such big gameplay defining affixes. You have to remember that very few people do keys during Tyrannical weeks because they find Tyrannical weeks to be at around 20 plus or something, to be substantially harder than the Fortified counterparts. So if you have a score for Tyrannical, maybe there's going to be more people doing Tyrannical weeks. So this is going to open up so many different things. And honestly, community, I really want to hear your opinion on this. Do you think this Mythic plus score is going to be a good or a bad thing? Do you hate this? Again, I expressed my opinion about this if Radio.io didn't exist, I think there's going to be another system out there. People are going to find other ways. Let me know if you feel the same way, or again, if you completely disagree. This is free, open world. I'm happy to hear your comments and read them and see where you're coming from. So there's going to be new changes in terms of new soulbind trees, new conduits being added, and there's a picture that's floating around. You can see here, this is the Nightfade tree. You can see there's going to be new nodes added, these new abilities added to it, and some of those abilities sound insanely cool. And I think the covenants are going to be shaken up a bit, especially because there's also going to be covenant specific legendaries, and not all of them have been uncovered yet. But you can see here the Druid covenant specific legendary coming in patch 9.1. Necrolord Adaptive Swarm has a 30% chance to split into 2 swarms each time it jumps. So all of a sudden you have a legendary that's gonna buff your covenant ability, and this legendary could have insane synergy. I'm not sure if 9.1 is gonna allow you for 2 legendaries, that hasn't been said yet. But man, if this is like, there's a lot of things to balance. And guys, again, this is a very early initial preview video. The main changes are discipline priest changes. I think they're to some extent gameplay defying, and I want to hear your opinions on multiple things. How do you feel about discipline priest? How do you feel about spiritual? How do you feel about the nerf to it? Do you like evangelism? And honestly, how do you feel about Mythic Score? Do you think it's a good addition that Blizzard is going to implement into the game? It's no longer a third-party addition. It's something that is going to tell the game how good or bad you are. So guys, leave comments below and I'll see you in my next video.